Hi, everyone. I am Carrie Little. I am a broker owner in Illinois of Caremark Realty Group, but I also happen to come from the education space for real estate. Now, I am here with my twin.
I'm Dr. Mina Blasey, and I am an educator by trade in the K-12 space. And I work for a small school district in Southern California with a background in science education.
And so, as an entrepreneur, I want to have a conversation with Mina on the next generation technology and how it can help or how it impacts the real estate industry, especially because in our industry, we have people that they might retire and come into real estate, or in Illinois and a lot of states like Michigan, you can get your real estate license at 18. So that means it can change the way we do real estate. And we want to make sure that if you're already in the industry, you don't get replaced because we're always consistently learning. So what I'd like to do is let's just have a conversation about technology and the next generation. And we'll just talk about all the generations in tech, because as many of you know, now we might be a little bit older. I won't tell you. You could guess if you want. We might hint. When we grew up, we actually went outside, we played, we rode our bikes. That tells you a lot right away. But the next generation, they're growing up with this. They're growing up with this. So Mina, talk to us about how the next generation uses technology and why they're so fast at it. And then we'll just kind of talk about why it's important for everyone to know how to use tech.
So that's a good question. And I'll say that children grow up with technology. Like a lot of us grew up with, a record system. I even grew up with what that 8-track system. So we were literate in the stuff that we grew up with. And some of you had access to VHS and CDs, and that's something you think about with ease. But kids are growing up with their parents can hand them this and they can navigate, say, YouTube at one. They can navigate TikTok. And not only can they navigate it, they can do videos without even knowing how to speak yet. And so they're not just, okay, digitally literate, that's the big thing, but I would even argue that they're natives, like they're digital natives. They understand how to navigate the digital realm better than we do because it's just part of what they do. It's like it's not just learning to walk or crawl, then walk, because that's something that comes naturally, but they're discovering as they go, where we, depending on how old you are, that wasn't necessarily there. Like I remember when Google started and I was in my 20s and I had to navigate that. I had to learn it. I had to ask questions where kids they don't even necessarily need to ask questions. It's the adult that's asking them the question. So, I
So
mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, right, because what's native to us was we went outside to play. We learned how to ride a bike. We taught each other. We could jump double dutch. These kids today probably don't even know how to turn a rope, let alone make it hit the ground on time. So
But
that's
they can just go look that up on YouTube.
but yeah, that's the point is for us. And if we look at the different generations, so we've got the silent generation, we've got baby boomers, we've got the Gen Xers, which is kind of us. Maybe we're on the older end of the group. And then we've got the millennials. Then we got the new kids on the block. What are they? The tech, the Y, the I generation. And then we got the 3-year-olds that are coming out. So when we think about technology, and you just said you said that they are digital natives. Like what's native to us was getting up, getting dressed, maybe just getting up and going outside in our pajamas. We learned how to play. And so now when we hear about tech, and you said TikTok, half the people are like if they have TikTok, they're just watching videos. But what the next generation is doing is what I heard is they're on TikTok and they're creating content. So for us, when we were in elementary school and high school and even college, to learn how to use these things, it was digitized, or it wasn't even digitized until the late 90s, but it was it was just like going to the movies. You had the movie reels. That was hard work, and you had to learn it. But now everyone can be their own creator, or they can be the creative behind their own story, where if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a real estate agent, or a new real estate agent, if you're in the Gen X, or if you are in the group of, the silent generation or the baby boomer generation, we had to shift. And if we didn't remain consistent with learning the technology, we could easily be replaced. So talk about how the next generation, you said that they just do it. They just are the figure it out generation. So we have this, so we get 18-year-olds in the industry and they're faster. So talk about how that next generation has an opportunity that's, I shouldn't say better, but maybe let's say faster than those of us that had to learn it later.
So, all right, you said something, and I'm going to go back to TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is. Just think of the technology that you know. Kids aren't just, you said the term, and I'm going to add the word consumer. Like when I first got on TikTok, I became a consumer of information. I was the swipe and look, swipe and look. Like you could get sucked in and be there for hours and not realize how long you were there. And that goes back to, there was a video, I want to call it the Socialnomics video on YouTube, that you said that our brains are literally are like 2 seconds and we're done, 2 seconds and we're done. Where kids aren't just consumers. They're not just substituting what they could read in a newspaper or go get a book. We substitute by going to YouTube and learning something, or instead of going to Home Depot to learn how to fix something, you can go on YouTube to learn it. They're taking technology and reinventing it. And I say that because they can open up and learn quickly by just pressing. Like I remember thinking, I don't want to break this, where they don't care if they break it. They're going to press everything until they figure it out. Here is my example. I have a granddaughter. She's not 2 yet. I mean, not 2 yet. She got a hold of, now I have 2 devices, like an older iPhone, and I logged in so she could get on, YouTube channels, and we blocked it where she could watch certain things. And her mom's pretty good about, you can have her for an hour, because she was able to do that. Well, I didn't lock my TikTok. She created a TikTok video on my TikTok feed. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. And my daughters and my sons and my daughter-in-law, like, please don't delete it. Like, no, I'm not going to delete it. It wasn't, she literally logged in, created a TikTok video and shared it. Did she say anything? No. Did she do anything? But it's proof that kids, even under the age of 2, are native to learning technology. And we have to learn it as we go. I mean, I'm still like, wow. So, I mean, there's something to be said about giving kids access. That's a whole nother conversation. However, if we teach them the right way to do it, and then we take the adults and say, you can learn with these kids, and stop saying, oh, I'll just do it myself. Like, I'm still blown away that she did that on her own.
So what I heard was, for those of you that are like, wow, not even 2 and creating content, I heard that they're beyond the figure it out generation. They just do it, because same scenario. I remember, 1995, I got my first computer, tower computer, although they still sell them because they're just real fast. I get this tower computer and it freezes. And you're like, what do I do? Because you're afraid to turn it off, where they're just going to hit the button, turn it off, restart it, and figure out why it didn't work. So they are I'm going to try it, test it, and break it. And then we have to figure it out. That is why, if you are an entrepreneur, and let's go with, or a real estate agent, and you have to know where you are in the tech game, because if you are not the person that is going to figure it out, I always tell the real estate agents in my office, if I have to tell you what to do, if you wait to learn, I own you. I own you. You have a job. I don't have a job. I'm an entrepreneur. And we always say we quit our 40-hour-a-week job to work 80 hours a week. We also say that we have to get up every day to make a paycheck, because that's what it's like in the real estate industry. So when you come into our industry, or you decide to open up a t-shirt shop, or you decide to open up a coffee shop, I feel like that could be my next thing. But anyway, whatever you decide to do, you have to be the person that chooses to build the business. And that's the same thing with tech. You have to choose to figure it out. So what we've been talking about today is next generation in tech. And, we don't want you to get replaced. So you have to figure out how to learn, whether it's on TikTok, most of it is probably going to be on YouTube. You have to figure out how to go learn it and stop waiting for someone to tell you what to do. Otherwise, you might as well go back to work.
You know
'Cause
what?
that next gen, they don't want to work, Mina.
No.
Jonathan was here. He was literally standing in my office and he was like, Mom. And, you know, first of all, my husband was like, go say hi to your mom. Because he was literally coming in and out. Because now, as an influencer, he's getting stuff in the mail. So he got a gaming chair. He came here. And so he came in and he said, Mom, being an entrepreneur is hard. I was like, oh, tell me more. Tell me more. I need to interview you. He said, yeah, a lot of my friends are going to get real jobs because, and I say real meaning Monday through Friday, maybe 40 plus hours a week, because they're not willing to put in all of the hours to be an entrepreneur. Now they're the next generation, they're the next entrepreneur because they, first of all, the way they go to jobs and not show up to jobs and just quit jobs is amazing to me. But what I've quickly learned is that they're willing to try something new quick. They're willing to walk out on you and they are willing to start a business. But what they are starting to learn is that it's not that easy to be an entrepreneur. But because he's so tech savvy, because that's what the next gen is, he has figured out that if he remains consistent over a number of years, it could change his life. So for the moment, he's in it for the long haul.
So, okay. I'm so glad you brought up Jonathan. I am a 40-hour week or more. It's a choice. I work in education. It's a choice. It doesn't mean I don't do other things because we do need people in these industries as well. However, we are creating and developing children to go into their own businesses, and they're very creative and they're learning that they can do it on their own. For example, my youngest, during the pandemic, senior year, they had to work from home. They were on Zoom or Google Meets, and it was like from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. And she said, Mom, they're going to ask us to come back to school in like March or April, but they only want us to come one week, Tuesday, Thursday, and it'll be for part of the day. And then the next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, part of the day. She was like, why would I go back? They're giving us the option when I can get everything done Monday through Friday in 4 hours online. Wait, this is what's amazing. And she said, and then I have the rest of the day to do what I want. And she actually was able to finish school by 3 o'clock. And she learned during the pandemic. She got her food handler's card, started baking cakes, cupcakes, cookies, created her own Instagram account, started selling stuff, went online to learn how to actually do this creative stuff. And now she does it. She, not as much as she used to, but like for parties, and she knows people that want it, she'll go in, bake it all at their home and set it up, and it's pretty because she went online and figured out how to, what'd you say, learn it, but I would even add she figured out how to figure it out. She didn't ask questions, she didn't ask me. I will say that these beautiful cakes in my home, it was like, oh, we can't have these cakes. So what we did is we took pictures of it, and she actually went on your Instagram to figure out how she should trace that. She's like, I'm gonna go learn from my other mom, because they like to say it because they sometimes get us confused. But that was huge. Like, that was huge. Now, there's one other story I'll say, that my other daughter, Morgan, when she was younger, still trying to figure out how to get a hold of her old YouTube account, she was creating videos at like 7, 8, or 9. And she's probably got hundreds of thousands of followers. She and her sister were creating these YouTube. So that's like, they were doing this. Now she's in her early 20s. So imagine how much content she had put out. But in college, she, just for fun, started going around talking about the dorms, comparing the dorms. People are going to find her from the university that she graduated from, UC Riverside, and she talks about it and explains what's the benefit of living on campus and off campus. But those are things that kids are doing, and they're creating it because they like doing it, not because they have to do it, and they're getting noticed.
So let's do this, because we're going to keep coming back to teach you something new. consistently. So we want you to come. We want you to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, and we will make sure they are in the feed. So first of all, number one, subscribe to our YouTube channels. Number two, you got to go find the other twins YouTube channel, which will be in our feeds. And number three, in the chat, we want you to tell us what you want to learn from us. Because again, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the real estate industry since 1997, licensed for 21 years. So 2001. So, it's been a minute. And I've owned my own real estate company since 2017 in Illinois and now in Florida. That's new. So we want you to make sure that you follow us. So Mina, here we go. Let's leave them with a few tips on tech so we can keep them coming back. So what are a few things you want them to know about why it's important to make sure you're learning technology?
One, so that you don't get left behind. You don't want to get left behind. That's one thing. The other thing about technology is you can't really break it. You need to play with it in order to learn it. One thing that you will say to me, consistency is key. Consistency over time. So you could go on YouTube and say, I'm going to learn everything I can about Instagram. Go to Carrie's website. Take some time, take some notes, but don't just take the notes. Go and practice it and try it. And yeah, you'll be uncomfortable with it, if it's a video or not, but go and practice and try. The only way you're going to learn something is to try it. And so those are, I would go with those two things. Go and play, go and try, and remember, you can't break it. Be consistent.
And here's my tip is if you're like, well, Carrie, I'm in the real estate industry and I don't get the tech. I never got the tech. Go find that, that teen, that young adult that's in college and get them to help you, because here's what you have that they don't have. You have the experience. You've been in the workforce for years and they might need a mentor, but you just need, you can create the content and tell them what to post. They know how to get it online fast. So that would be my tip for you. So we want to thank you for joining us. Don't forget, subscribe and follow each of us on social media.
Thank you, everybody.